The nation's capital provides the backdrop of a midweek matchup in the Gainbridge Super League. DC Power plays host to Fort Lauderdale United in the 7th meeting between these two clubs alongside Christine Huber, Michael Watring. So great to have you with us for our kickoff this evening, and this is what the standings look like at this point. One playoff position is left. Can DC Power get above the playoff line before the year comes to an end? While Fort Lauderdale United, yes, they sit toward the bottom of the table, but their playoff hopes are hanging on by a thread entering this matchup. DC had lost 3 consecutive matches before goals 6 minutes apart helped propel them to a 2-0 victory against Tampa Bay over the weekend.
And this was a bounce-back performance after losing to Tampa Bay just weeks earlier. This looked like a different team that learned from the last meeting, much more disciplined defensively, and they beat Tampa Bay 2-0. They scored early, stayed composed, they stayed organized, and they were efficient to maintain that lead.
They're 4th in the league in goals this season with Gianna Gorley out with the injury, but Alyssa Walker has scored 4 game winners in her time, and Loza Ibarra has scored in the last 3 times these two clubs have met.
2 players are needed to fill the shoes of Gianna Gorley. Loza Ibarra is very unique striker. She's tough to stop when she's facing goal. Alyssa Walker recorded her 4th goal since joining the Power last game versus Tampa Bay. What's clutch? All 4 goals have served as game winners for DC.
When you look at Fort Lauderdale on the other side, it's been a mixed bag. They were in 2nd place in the league after the first 10 matches of the year. Since that point, they just have 6 points since November 12th.
And the issue is they went 12 matches without a single win. 8 draws in total. Draws have defined their season as they do not have that 1-2 goal scorer, and you see by shots, they're just not even getting the shots.
But they bring in world pedigree in Allie Long. She's a World Cup champion. She's won every level that she's been out. Her experience, Fort Lauderdale hopes, allows this team to make their push.
Just an unbelievable pickup. She signed to the end of the season, so this isn't a long-term project. This is a win-now signing for Fort Lauderdale. You can't teach the experience she brings. She's seen every game state imaginable. The question is, does she change who they are, or is she just going to elevate what they already do?
These two teams have each won twice. They've drawn twice. It is almost even across the board. Fort Lauderdale United looks for its first road win since November. DC on the other side looks to snap a 5-match winless skid at home. Kickoff is next.
Today, we accomplished nothing. I mean it, not a thing. And it was kinda everything.
This spring, stay 3 nights and get a $50 Best Western gift card.
Tomorrow's forecast will be
Prinks Tires in the USL help soccer journeys everywhere to drive harder. From city playgrounds to suburban sidelines. From early mornings to late nights. From fun with friends to winner takes all. From the biggest fan to the biggest heart. And at every turn, Prinks Tires will be there for the long haul.
We welcome you back here to Washington, D.C. as we close in on kickoff here in week 28 of the Gainbridge Super League. DC Power and Fort Lauderdale United getting ready for action. Michael Watchran, Christine Huber with you. This is how DC Power lines up. Morgan Aquino, she was in the Asian Cup for a long time with Australia, so just one start since March, makes number 2 tonight.
A little bit of a goalkeeper battle going on there with her and Gottschalk. They're in the 3-5-2. It's important today that they stay compact defensively, and as we see Constant on the right, back from international duty with Haiti.
Conversely, on the other side for Fort Lauderdale United, this is how the group lines up here tonight. Shania Gordon scored 15 days ago against Sporting Jack. She has 1 goal for the season. Kiara Locklear next to her leads the team with 5.
And this is the same lineup that started against Sporting Jacks. Haley Craig in the back led the league in saves in March. Something to keep an eye on to see what she's able to bring up today.
Fort Lauderdale United looking for its first clean sheet in a very, very long time. Speaking of very long, Allie Long is looking potentially to make her Gainbridge Super League debut tonight. Of course, in uniform in this matchup. She'll start the evening on the bench. Has not played a match of any kind competitively for a professional team since November of 2023. And we'll see if she gets summoned here this evening. But you can already see the impact that she has with this group, already speaking with the young players of this side. Fort Lauderdale is winless in its last 6 road matches. They've been outscored 12-3 in that stretch. DC Power on the other side, they're winless in their last 5 home matches. They've been shut out in 4 of those 5, have not scored in the last 343 minutes on this field. But we're ready to go. It's the black and blues for DC Power. It is the white and blues for Fort Lauderdale United. 7th all-time meeting between these two sides. And Fort Lauderdale United puts the ball in play, and we're ready to roll here tonight, kicking off a midweek showdown between DC Power and Fort Lauderdale United. Like I mentioned, this is a very, very even matchup. 2 wins aside, 2 losses aside, 2 draws aside, and it's 1-1-1 on each other's home pitches. But what we have seen this year is goals. 3-1 DC won on this field in November, and just at the beginning of this month on April 6th, it was 3-1 Fort Lauderdale. What are you expecting this evening?
I think DC has to jump on it early. They have to get some goals. That's when they're best. If you're Fort Lauderdale, play direct, play your speed, get your players forward.
DC 16 first half goals this season, but none before the 14th minute. Conversely, for Fort Lauderdale United, they have 10 first half goals, 1 in the opening 10. This ball stummied all the way across, and if not for that flick, Harney was in. Well-timed intervention. Locklear springs in there. Direct pass. Locklear, the intended target. It never reaches her. Walker. The tempo to this match on a pleasant day here in the nation's capital. To watch this matchup, DC Power sits just below the playoff line. As many points as they can rack up is their best solution to getting into the postseason. Still have to usurp Dallas Trinity while also being tied with Spokane for the 5th playoff spot on the table. As you take a look at Omid Namazi, was named the head coach last July. He spent time with the Chicago Red Stars, the U.S. Women's National Team. Most recently was the leader of Hartford Athletic a couple years ago in the USL Championship. That ball rolls into the path. This ball has a chance, dodging the first defender. Rolling it in, Gordon can't get it to Locklear. It's punched aside. Gordon just could not get the angle.
This being an excellent chance right now. Fort Lauderdale pushing forward. This is what they like to do. They want to get these direct passes. They play straight forward. Gordon coming off of her first goal from last game. I think she's making the right decision, but none of her teammates made a run to get away from their defenders. So DC did a good job staying marked up there after that mistake.
First corner of the match, taken short. Bounces up top. Van Treek can't quite slide it in. Abera darts past the first defender, plays this into a pocket, and on the foot race, it is Vaca getting there first. Hugh up the park. Good turn. Emily Thompson hits it with the left foot, but right into the middle, and the foul is whistled. It might have been an advantage for Fort Lauderdale had the whistle not come.
And that's exactly what they were looking for. Not sure if the officials saw that they were able to maintain possession as it was going forward.
Gordon bumps this and ends up hitting her just above the neck. She recovers it, swings it wide, cross in, knocked away. Second chance, ricochets. And ultimately cleared towards Walker. And Maggie Mace recycles for Vaca. Smith given away. Colton picks it up. What a year it's been for Fort Lauderdale United. First 10 matches of the year, just one loss. They had 17 points. They were one off of the pace to Lexington at that point, and then everything has unraveled since that point. Just one win over their last 13 games. They've been outscored by 19 goals during that stretch, and that really has been the biggest issue, giving up those 34.
Definitely, and they were getting draws instead of wins. And when you come down, as we see Coach Paul Jennison here, as you come down and now you get towards the end of the season, now you're looking, oh man, wish we would have got 3 points instead of 1, and it starts to add up. 8 draws they've had this season.
You're talking about shifting 2 of those draws to wins. They'd be even on points as DC right now, and the feeling would be completely different. Cross goes in, bounces off the first one. Walker arrives on the second, and it glances off of her head out.
We see what Walker's bringing here to this DC squad. She's very composed, very relaxed on the ball, but then she's able to get forward and just cause havoc for defenders.
Craig was trying to read that one, and if Walker times that jump a little bit differently, might have been able to flare it over the top.
And it's a good decision by Haley Craig staying in, right? It was the defender who has to clear that out.
Flag is up for offside. Well, conversely, if you're looking at DC on the other side, they've been solid on the road, tied for the 3rd most points in the league this season, but at home they've produced the fewest goals and the fewest points. They only have 1 win and 11 tries here. Again, you're talking about a team that 1 or 2 results differently. You're not talking about earth-shattering results. You're talking about maybe 1 draw flipping to a win. You'd be in the final playoff position instead of sitting in 5th.
And maybe it's worth getting the team hotel rooms beforehand, before any home game, because they have just not been able to win here.
Drive them on the bus for a couple hours just
around
around the park.
Around the nation's capital and sleep away from home, and it's a business trip.
So one of these 2 streaks might come to an end here tonight. Both sides with winless runs. At home and on the road, Locklear dribbles in, gets shut down by Sydney Cummings, and a foul on Locklear. Cummings is 4th in the league in clearances, and you see why as she accelerates past Locklear.
And this is nice defense here. Locklear looking for the call, but for me, this is just excellent defense. Coming around, it's all about her body position there. She's able to get her body in between the ball and Locklear.
That's a good ball. It drifts off the foot of Harney, however. Thompson. Thrown down by Shea Moyer, but forced to retreat is Maggie Mace. First-year product out of Washington State by way of Coastal Carolina. It's a pretty good college experience. You go from Coastal Carolina, a great experience on the East Coast, then you go up to the Pacific Northwest. Get to see all the seasons during your career. Vaca, second team all-league pick last year. Has this ball pilfered by Harney. Colton rolls it through the middle, back out wide. It's Harney. Sees nothing but a wall in front of her. Tries to spring past Hugh. Crosses it in. Late arriving touch. Ends up high. No redirect that time as Deja Torbert was sliding in.
This is a nice ball in by Harney. Put it in, and it makes that goalkeeper think, Am I coming out or am I going to stay in goal? That's such a tough ball right along the 6.
Foul. Contact there. Well, you talk about two teams on opposite ends of the spectrum. DC is #1 in the league in shots, 336 of them. Conversely, Fort Lauderdale United have the fewest of any team by a wide margin, 60 plus less than Tampa Bay at this point. They have the fewest touches inside of their opposition's box. So how will that dynamic function in this game is going to be fascinating to see just how much DC gets in terms of their attack versus how can Fort Lauderdale create anything.
Oh,
that's a shove, a foul, a yank. And let's see, I haven't seen the card come out of the pocket yet. And now it's going to be a red card.
I was going to say that is borderline one way or the other. Denying of a goal-scoring opportunity right here. And I understand that Vaca gets beat, but there's nobody else except the goalkeeper left. That's an automatic red card, denying of a goal-scoring opportunity. This is a heartbreak for Fort Lauderdale.
Well, Vaca sent off in the 10th minute. And you talk about changing the entire tides of this matchup. That happens right there. And we mentioned that Alyssa Walker has 4 game-winning goals on 4 goals that she scored with the club. This isn't necessarily going to go down as a game-winning goal or moment, but certainly it feels like this is something that can completely stem the tide of this match.
Oh, definitely. It's the right call by the official. 100%. There was nobody else in front of Walker. I mean, she was in on the goalkeeper. So the official has no other choice but to give a red card there.
It's a good job by Marie Durr, our center official. I think that she was trying to determine exactly if that was the last defender back, denying of a goal-scoring chance. And in the end, she agrees that it is, so it sets up Paige Almendares to line this opportunity up. It's going to be the left foot of Almendares. Bagley to the right. Almendares rolls it up top, and before we even get the shot, we get a foul whistled, and Colton really crushed one. And at the very least, if you're Haley Craig, you got a pretty good save there.
And we'll see this again. Look, nobody is there. Vaca takes Walker down, and you know how you look at it, if there's nobody else but the goalkeeper, right? We're assuming that Walker's going to score. One-on-one with the goalkeeper, an obvious breakthrough there. It's the right call by the official. She did a good job too. She waited, she analyzed, she scanned the field to make sure there was nobody else that could have stepped in to get in front of Walker before she's one-on-one on goal.
That's the 4th time this year that Fort Lauderdale have had to play with 10. No team in the league has had to do it more frequently this season. Conversely, DC, they haven't had a red card all year.
And I mean, 10 minutes into the game, that completely changes Fort Lauderdale's game plan. And I was almost going to say, it seemed like today, whether it's Allie Long or whatever it is, they seem to have more energy, more pep in their step today during warm-ups, and now this deflates that.
These first few minutes after going down to 10, always so pivotal for the team that is playing with 10. And they find a little bit of energy here as we get a stoppage with the injury. And this very unfortunate here on the step by Jules Grosso.
Just an unfortunate step on the foot. It's just one of those unlucky twists.
Very much hope that this is one that scares you more than the actual end result is for Grosso. It's a nice crowd in attendance for this matchup. You see some of the youth enjoying the match.
"13 minutes in, and we've already had very choppy play, a few stoppages here.
Well, this is what's on deck for these two teams as they turn their lens to what might happen in the future. Critical match every single night around. These two teams are playing. You take a look at DC. Their next matchup comes your way on Friday, May 1st against Dallas Trinity. And you circle that one on the calendar. That one very easily could be whoever gets 3 points makes the postseason.
Yes, I mean, those two are so close right now. One above, Dallas being above the line, DC being below the line. Still a few games left to figure it out, that fourth and final spot.
So it's a critical matchup. And with how the scenarios are playing out around the rest of the league, you're not exactly sure what the scenario will be for Fort Lauderdale United, but winning out is almost imperative. And on Sunday, they have to go cross country to take on Spokane.
And Spokane's been having some good games lately, and Fort Lauderdale need to get wins, right? These draws, these 1 points, it's not cutting it. Have to get some wins if you want to get there and get into playoffs.
If you can make this a 6-point week, all of a sudden things get really interesting in the league. And I wonder what kind of influence Allie Long might have on that. A winner at every step of the way. And it looks like Kate Colvin and Kat Gonzalez are both getting loose right now, with Grosso going down. No official word on what the situation might end up being there, but I'm sure in the coaching handbook there's not a lot to tell you about how to handle a 10th minute red card and then a couple minutes after that perhaps an injury that forces you to utilize one of your sub windows.
Well, hey, is this why you signed Allie Long? She's going to have to run for 2 or 3 players if she gets the chance to go in. She's going to have to take up a lot of space.
So we'll see what kind of buttons Paul Jennison pushes here, with Grosso still down on the far side of the field after the red card to Levena Vaca in the 10th minute. All those good vibes that Fort Lauderdale United had. Very much wondering what those might look like in the next 10-15 minutes.
And don't forget, Audi Field here, the pitch is pretty big. It's a big playing surface, so that obviously hurts Fort Lauderdale being a player down.
The outfit there in the bottom left.
It's the Energizer Bunny.
You saw the pink pennies. I mean, he takes that to a different level. So it looks like Grosso is going to be forced to come out of this game, and it looks like Kate Colvin has shed the penny, and she will be the substitution here. And it's also interesting to note, if you lose Grosso, you could have potentially gone maybe a little more defensive-minded with that substitution, but early in the game, Paul Jennison thinks, why not? Let's bring in Kate Colvin. She comes in, so in the span of less than 10 minutes, a red card and now a substitution utilized with Grosso injured, and we hope all the best for her and her recovery. So I After that, we'll have to put the ball back into play here. Colvin, 23-year-old first-year product, and at the very least, it gave Fort Lauderdale a chance to think about their tactics here and what they might want to do playing with 10 the rest of the way. Long ball this time. Walker backpedals. It bounces. Rolls up top. Harney stretches the legs as she swings it back where it originally started from and ultimately sent back towards Almendares. Select is the official matchball supplier of the Gainbridge Super League and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice.
DC being a very possession-based team here, obviously being up a player is going to be such an advantage. They're going to keep possession, they're going to knock the ball about, they're going to go side to side, and you're going to see a lot of gaps, a lot of space opening here for DC.
There's Bagley. Harney chases, catches onto it, connects on the cross. Out of the reach of Abera. Tracks it down on the far side, plays it up top. Torberts. Gainer. Can't quite split that defensive area. Colton tracks it down and resets. Could very easily be a lot of this the rest of the way. Colton gets tackled. Emily Thompson gets the arm out there, and a free kick coming up. 20 minutes in, scoreless so far, but the red card to Vaca in the 10th minute has Fort Lauderdale playing with just 10.
If you're Fort Lauderdale, you want to stay tight, you want to stay compact. They are a very direct team, so they're going to look to get a quick runner out on the outskirts or out through the middle and just have it be a one-on-one breakaway is what they're going to have to do to try and get some sort of goal here to stay in it.
Lauderdale have been susceptible to early goals. They've given up 5 in the first 8 minutes of matches this season. So the longer that they can go, the better for their chances in this matchup. They've given up 21 overall first half goals and faced the most shots on target of any team in the league. Here's Bagley. Bagley springs in, cuts it back. Harney circles, crosses, a header for Walker, bounces right into the waiting paws of Craig.
This is great build-up here by DC, by Harney. You can tell what they're working on or what they worked on all week. Get those balls low and hard, get it across the 6. That might have come down enough too, where Walker might have been able to do a little bit of a side volley there just to get a little more pace behind the ball. It came in so soft that it's then hard to get a hard head goal.
Let's see if Fort Lauderdale can control a little bit of possession and a little bit of their ease here. Inside of the box, and this shot rifles high from Emily Thompson, but nevertheless, not bad from that distance.
This is what Fort Lauderdale likes to do. They like to play direct. They're going to go straight forward with it, try and get back and behind the DC defenders.
Over the top, this ball splashes down. Almendares chases. Ultimately bobbles as Colvin forces her to play it, and the foul is whistled. Well, if you are Fort Lauderdale, how do you handle this, playing with 10 for this amount of time?
Yeah, I mean, they're doing okay with it, right? I mean, they've been able to intercept these poor passes by DC. They're staying compact, and then once they do receive it, it's got to be a quick outlet, quick counterattack to try and catch the DC defenders unsettled. I mean, right now, it doesn't even really look like they're playing a player down. They're playing pretty even. And you see here, DC just going to be nice and patient.
Ball rolls back. Circling on that was Gaynor. Almendaris. Bagley. Give and go here up top. Rolls into the path of Walker. And she commits the foul.
Fort Lauderdale's also going to look to hold a higher line. They're going to try and shrink the field as much as possible. That last run there, we saw them there. All defenders were holding on the 18-yard line. That means the DC players cannot go any further, as they have to time their run so they're not called offside.
In this matchup, this is the 5th straight red card assessed this season in the Gainbridge Super League. And the first one since the calendar flipped to 2026. Almendaris defends. Colvin circles. Colvin connects over everybody and out. But there have been a few chances here for Fort Lauderdale in the last couple minutes as they look to find the opening goal in this one. Down a player.
Sometimes when you get a red card and you're on the field, you're out there, knowing that you're down a player, it's sometimes mentality makes you think, ooh, I now have to play harder. I now have to cover more ground. Every touch I have becomes that important, that crucial. And it looks like Fort Lauderdale's holding their own with the player down right now.
It happens sometimes, though. You get the player advantage, and maybe you start to press a little bit more, thinking you should have a goal by now. Skims the first head, rolls to this side. Hugh juggles, rolls out. Hugh keeps it in play as it tightropes the sideline and ultimately goes back. Try the left-hand side this time around. Almendaris tracks it down. Swings it across. Ibarra leaves it. Walker can't quite get there in time. That is alert play there by Haley Craig.
You can see how Loza and Ibarra and Walker, how they've been working together, right? Right now, they've each dummied to each other. They know where each other is. They're staying nice and close to each other. They don't have to be more than 10 yards apart. And basically the way to look at it is have a string around Ibarra's waist, have a string around Walker's waist. They should never go any further than those 10 yards away from each other.
There have been 5 straight red cards, as I mentioned. 3 of the 5 have happened in the second half. Only 2 have happened in the first half, both by Fort Lauderdale. Of course, tonight, and then Bellahera picked one up in October in the 27th minute. Not necessarily the signs of success. They lost that match 5-1 at Lexington.
So this makes this the earliest red card that we've seen, at least this year.
Ball rolls over. Harney circles. Harney hammers! Craig gets the left hand on top to shovel it over the top.
Harney with a lot of time and space here. And she just gets her foot under that. Did not hit the laces at all, but I tell you what, credit Haley Craig, that was a nice read at point blank range.
Darris heads over. Darris arcs near post. It's off of the head of the first one. Walker heads it through, and there was Gaynor. She just misses the targets.
If you're Fort Lauderdale, you need to get up. You need to get and attack this ball because right now, DC is winning everything in the air. Unfortunate that they could not get any of these three headers on target, but they are right there, and they are being the aggressive ones in the air.
More pressure. This ball trickles in. Mace connects. Can't quite clear. Not in trouble yet. Circling on this. It's Gaynor. Sending it back. A bump and a foul, and they will certainly take that one here. Free kick. Bounces off the first head and rolls out. Throw in. Bounces in there. Quick turn. Thompson circles it in. Waiting for the second chance. It bounces. Moyer bobbles. Ball whistles off of the first defender. Up top, it's Mace. Swings it in. Flag stays down for a moment, now goes up.
Fort Lauderdale is putting on some pressure. Even though they are a player down, they are not letting up at all. We talked about their direct play. This is exactly what they're doing. Getting that ball forward as we see there. She's just waiting in the offside position there, so the linesman puts her flags up.
Into the attack comes DC. Torbert, Harney, Torbert can't quite get there in time. Three teams to punch their ticket into the Gainbridge Super League playoffs, but the season is far from over. To stay up to date on all the latest information, analysis, and insight, visit GainbridgeSuperLeague.com. Thompson moves it up top. Smith. Colvin tries to get the angle around Almendares here. Colvin bends it in. Cummings knocks it aside, and Ibarra is there. Late tackle. Down to midfield once more.
Fort Lauderdale keeping that pressure up. Thinking they're looking better with 10 players than they did with 11.
Well, when they picked up that straight red in October, they'd already trailed 2-0 in that game. Eventually losing it 5-1 to Lexington.
And if you're Fort Lauderdale, I hate to jinx them, but you definitely do not want to be thinking about a 0-0 draw. You've already had 8 draws this season. You're not looking for another one. That's not the way to advance and get into the playoffs, is by getting 1 point a game instead of 3.
There's only one team in the history of the league that has won a match while playing with 10 after a straight red card. That was May 4th of 2025. Jordan Listro picked up a straight red in the 25th minute, and Tampa Bay won that match 1-0.
I think I was on that call. I think this may be my 3rd red card game, actually. What am I, 3 for 5? How about those stats?
All told, 1 win, 5 losses, 1 draw when a team receives a straight red card in the history of the league. The draw happened 6 days after that aforementioned Listro red card, when Brooklyn picked up a straight red in the 71st minute. They led that game, though, 2-0, and would eventually settle for a 2-2 draw against Spokane. Let's see how this match plays out. We're 35 minutes in. We are scoreless. We've seen Vaca get a straight red card. Grasso have to be subbed out with a leg injury. And in this match, DC 6 of the 7 shots officially so far, but we are still scoreless in this one. 2 teams desperate for points, trying to make their push for the playoffs. Fort Lauderdale maybe thirstier, though, than DC. Michael Watcher and Christine Huber and our team enjoying this one here on Peacock. Almendares juggles.
All the kids are out on a Wednesday night. Here to support DC Power.
Love those as a kid back in the day, being able to go to a sporting event on a school night.
At what point do you start seeing the frustration on DC's side, the fact that they really can't break this Fort Lauderdale defense, and they have a player up?
It's adding an extra layer of frustration as well against a team that has given up the most goals in the Super League this year. 46 of them for the year, 6 more than anybody else. Here's Thompson. Can't quite hold on to the ball, however. Colton, second in the league in chances created. And he resets. Pretty good pass here. Opens up Torberts. Torbert Lays it through the middle. Colton gets the first piece. Craig quick off of her line. That ball's given away. It's bobbled and it ricochets off of Walker and into the nets. It's a giveaway from the back line and bring out the Spider-Man. Web shooting for Walker as she wallops the webbing to make it 1-0.
Walker just timing her run. She has the spidey sense. She was able to see where that ball was going to come through, and this is a bad giveaway on Fort Lauderdale. Torber able to get that. The ball is bouncing around. Haley Craig with a good first initial save, just not enough, and as she parries it out, it's Walker right there, right place, right time, easy finish.
Make that 15 consecutive games in which Fort Lauderdale have allowed at least one goal. The last time they had a clean sheet was November 8th. Meanwhile, for Walker, that is goal number 5 for Walker in a DC kit. Let's see if DC can add another. Abera spins around the first defender, swings it across over Harney, comes back out. First ball is touched and ultimately sent high. Justina Gaynor again in the mix.
This is where DC needs to start to gain that momentum. Keep it locked into their offensive third. Keep Fort Lauderdale under pressure. Keep getting those shots. Keep serving the ball in the box.
Through no fault of Haley Craig's, it was the initial giveaway in the back that started everything.
And this is what DC is good at. They get that early goal lead. They possess enough where they're just able to hang on to the ball and not let the other team get any chances.
Abera brings it in. Bagley
breaking some ankles.
eludes that first defender. Walker back for Colton. Abera in a tight pocket. Torbert bounces. Abera sends it wide. Almendares off of the defender's foot is stepping up at the last moment was Colvin.
DC just keeping this offensive pressure going. Loza Bear unable to turn on here, but keeps that ball alive. That's a nice diagonal ball back behind the defenders, keeping that alive.
Colton heads over there to take this one. DC scoring for the 17th time in the first half in this matchup. Now looking to add to it here in the final few minutes of half number one. Colton crosses. The header ends up high from Gaynor. Eighth time that DC have scored in the final quarter hour of the first half this year. Walker again pressures as Craig. All she can do here is send it into the bleachers.
And think about it, right? In a week's time, 2 weeks' time, if DC's able to get Gianna Gorley back, now you're putting her up top with Walker and Ibarra. I mean, those three can be pretty deadly up top.
Bagley bashes it in. Walker again heads. It falls down. Well, the goal from Walker in the 39th minute snapped a 382-minute goalless drought at home for DC. They hadn't scored on this field since Loza Ibarra's 17th minute goal against Dallas on March 12th. Content with just the one here before the end of the first half. Bagley. Walker. Colton. Walker. Was the initial target. Harney instead crosses it off of the defender for another corner for DC. Almendares will go over, and we have 4 minutes of first half stoppage time in a half that has seen a red card and an injured player as well as a goal. Veni Vaca being shown a straight red in the 10th minute. That's her off for the rest of the night, and DC now looking to break the floodgates open, leading already by a goal to none. Almendares slingshots it in. Waiting there again was Walker. Heads it straight to the ground, and on a comfortable bounce, Craig catches.
That is Walker's 4th or 5th shot on goal with her head, but she's just unable, because the ball is coming in so soft, she's unable to get enough power to get it by Haley Craig.
Bagley. Constant moves across midfield, sends this high. There is somebody waiting there. It's Almendares, throws it back. Ibarra cannot stay onside. She is offside. And the unselfish play there from Almendares could have perhaps made it a second. Ibarra had her eyes set on a 4th goal in as many matches against this club.
Ibarra making that good first run, but she needs to hold up. She needs to recognize the person who's just guarding her, just marking her, switched over to ball side. So now she has to stretch out her run. She has to round it out so that she's able to stay onside.
Could have been a second. Instead keeps this at a 1-goal contest. You have to wonder, where does Fort Lauderdale get anything in the attack? It might be a moment like this. Maybe a little bit open. Bagley's trying to track this ball down. Hugh had it for a moment. Bagley, have to credit her hustle. She draws the foul after it seemingly looked like that was Hugh's ball and nobody else's.
DC Power obviously in no rush to take this kick.
Pretty much coast here into that locker room at halftime. Constant. Looks over the top, but has too much on that for Bagley as it goes out.
Bagley was open on that run. The ball just has to be released sooner.
Torbert heads this. Colton overruns it. And that's how the first half comes to an end. Well, it's a first half of frustrations if you're Fort Lauderdale. Meanwhile, DC, they created just enough to get that one goal from Melissa Walker and lead 1-0 at halftime.
Yeah, DC has to continue with their possession. They have to be patient like they have been. Keep connecting on the passes. More goals will come. They just have to be patient.
DC Power, 4th in the league in goals scored. More than half of them this season have come in the first half, and they strike again at the tail end of half number 1 to get this advantage, while Fort Lauderdale concedes in the first half for a 22nd time this year. And Alyssa Walker with the goal in this matchup. She now has 7 on the year for DC Power. For this season, the 28-year-old puts this group out in front 1-0 as we're now joined by Alyssa Walker. Alyssa, Michael Watchering, and Christine Huber with you here. And walk us through what you see in your goal, for starting with Deja Torbert's ability to create the turnover.
Deja's been doing a great job the whole entire half of creating opportunities. And I saw an angle for me to get the ball, and then the center back cut it off. And Deja made the right decision. She decided to take a shot. And then as that deflection was, it's my responsibility to frame the goal. And so when they tried to clear the ball out and scramble for it, then I was just there for the deflection to go right into the goal.
Tell us about the Spider-Man mask.
So this kind of came out when I was with Spokane after I had torn my ACL. I'm a big Spider-Man fan, and I've always kind of wanted to do it. I've seen in the big men's leagues that they've done it before, and I just really wanted to do it. And what better time than the season coming back from my ACL injury.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on the goal, and best of luck in half 2.
Thank you so much.
That's Alyssa Walker. Her goal has DC Power out in front 1-0 at the break. Fort Lauderdale playing with 10. Can they make the comeback in the second half? It's just a 1-goal match. We'll come back with our halftime report, looking around the rest of the Super League when we return.
Today, we accomplished nothing. I mean it, not a thing. And it was kind of everything.
This spring, stay 3 nights and get a $50 Best Western gift card.
Clark, amazing at assists. Gainbridge, the ultimate assist for your savings. But ever since they teamed up, she's taken assisting to a whole new level. Caitlin Clark, great at assists. Gainbridge, great at assists for your savings.
all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Alyssa Walker has made quite the impact for DC Power. She adds another to her line. It's the 5th time she scored in the DC Power kit this season in the 39th minute. Makes it 1-0 at the break. Michael and Christine back with you here at halftime. And here's how things look on the playoff picture. Sporting Jacks, of course, they are already in the postseason. Carolina and Lexington join the party over the weekend, so just one spot remains for the postseason. We talked about Allie Long, what a big signing that is, not just for Fort Lauderdale, but for this league. The World Cup champion joins the Gainbridge Super League. And Catherine Berry, she resets the single-season scoring mark with a hat trick against Tampa. It is the 2nd this season, the 5th in Gainbridge Super League history, and the 1st in Lexington's club history. Here's how things look this weekend. Sporting Jacks can clinch a top 2 spot if they win against Lexington. Meanwhile, that Brooklyn and Dallas matchup have so many different variables, but Brooklyn with a loss, they would be eliminated from postseason contention.
And you're looking at that Sporting Jacks Lexington game, that could wind up being a semifinal or final game that we see later on in the playoffs.
Of course, Spokane and Fort Lauderdale wraps up the weekend, and Fort Lauderdale's hopes of making the postseason hanging on by a thread. Here at halftime, despite playing with 10, Fort Lauderdale are down by just a goal. 45 minutes down, 45 more to go, and we'll recap what was a roller coaster ride of emotions with the first half highlights when we come back. Excellent night to bring the kids to the park. And DC Power have the advantage 1-0 at the break here for the Gainbridge Super League. And take a look back at the first half highlights of this one. 7th time that these two clubs have met. It's been a goal-scoring barrage with a combined 4 goals in each of the first 2 meetings this year. But it's been the giveaways, the mistakes, the self-inflicted wounds for Fort Lauderdale. That's the difference. The fastest straight red in league history, Lavinia Vaca picking this one up.
And a correct call right here. Denying of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. Nobody else was in the way of Walker. Correct red card. Fort Lauderdale's been playing a player down since the 10th minute.
So it took about a half hour till things changed. Torbert pushes this shot on, then the clearance attempt ricochets off of Walker, and she scores for the 5th time in a DC kit.
But DC being a player up, they could play that high-pressure defense. Their defense leads to the offense. Walker's able to get that goal and put on her Spidey kit.
Spidey sense is tingling through 45 minutes, and the stats are lopsided in one direction. Fort Lauderdale may be fortunate that it's only a 1-goal game.
Yeah, definitely. And DC, I am sure, is going to come with more firepower in this second half. They have to work on their scoring efficiency, their scoring finishing. Let's see if they can do that in the second half.
So 45 minutes down. Can Fort Lauderdale have any kind of say in this matchup? They trail DC by a 1-0 margin. Second half comes your way when we come back in a moment. Alyssa Walker's 5th goal in a DC kit has the home side out in front of Fort Lauderdale by a 1-0 advantage through 45 minutes of play here. And it has been a good start for DC Power. How can they finish things off? Here's how things look as it sits right now. they have jumped above Dallas on the playoff picture as they try to make the postseason here in year number 2 of the Super League. Michael Watring, Christine Huber and company back with you. DC Power was actually in first place after week 1 of the regular season. Of course, they won after the opening match of the year. Now trying to make this deep in the season above the playoff line for the first time in club history as half number 2 kicks off in this one. And what do you expect from Fort Lauderdale in half 2 down by a goal?
Fort Lauderdale, they have to stay compact defensively. They're going to probably play a high line. They're going to try and shrink this field and get DC offside just so they get some sort of movement and get that ball forward. For DC, look to continue for them keeping possession. They need to just knock the ball about, move it side to side. Be aware of this high offside trap that's coming from Fort Lauderdale. You either need to dribble through it or you need to make your runs nice and wide and get a through ball.
Walker scored in the final 10 minutes of that first half, and she has bagged 5 game-winning goals already this year, tied with Paige Kenton for the most. And if this stands, it would be a 6th to take the lead.
And Walker's such a good story, right? She tore her ACL before the 2025 season, has worked her way back, and has now just become such a big impact. Still not 100% as far as your body working with the mentality and what you know of the game, but she seems to be getting better and better every game, and you see what an impact she's making, not only from the goal she scored, but how many times have we seen her take a shot with her head already? She gets her head, she's able to attack those high balls where others can't.
She's been in and around so many situations in this game, and playing with 10, it's been difficult for Fort Lauderdale to get footing at any point in this matchup. But DC is looking to pull away in this one. There was a combined 7 total goals in the first 4 matches between these teams. Only one time where a team scored multiple goals. That was in the first ever meeting. But so far this year, it's been 3-1 decisions. DC back in November, Fort Lauderdale in April. Abera tries to get the edge here. Instead, it's played out by a sliding Van Treek. Abera. Nice job getting past that first defender. Colton circles. Thought she was going to pull the trigger. Now she does, and it just does escalate over the bar.
This offensive set for DC actually starts with Abera holding that ball up, sucking the defenders in, which gets Colton open, and Colton has a nice little blast there, just unable to keep it down below the bar. Nice little battle in the midfield there. It's one thing I think Fort Lauderdale's really been lacking today, winning those balls in the air. They haven't been fighting, they haven't been getting up for them at all.
Ball again, seeks Abera, cannot get there in time. Well, at the start of the second half of the season, right after the break, DC was sitting in 8th on the league table with 15 points. They were 5 points off of the postseason at that point. Here they have. They've climbed back into the playoff picture. Torbert, who had a brace the last time these teams met on this field in November.
Yeah, this DC team has just really fought back. If you look at last year, they finished 7th in the league. They had some midseason coaching changes. They've been through some different stuff within the organization. So this would be huge for them to make the playoffs. And as we know, Lexington already made the playoffs where they finished in last place last year. And even on the flip side of that, you take your defending champions who are looking at the bottom of the table, not completely eliminated yet, but in order for Tampa Bay to make playoffs, they're going to have to get 3 points from every game here on out and have a little help.
Colton lines up Bagley as she spins around. Bagley out of reach on this touch. DC has been hanging around 5th for the last month or so. They have been right in the picture. They just haven't quite been able to get over the hump. That 3-match losing skid certainly didn't do them any favors.
And of course, most teams would be happy and excited to play at home, but DC only having 1 win so far at home, it makes it a little bit of a different story. We see this high, tight line here by Fort Lauderdale.
Corner kick coming up here for DC. The last time that DC was above the playoff line was 4 matches into the season. It was late September. They were sitting in 4th place. If this result holds, they would be back above the playoff line with their eyes focused on the end of the year. Almendaris. Sidewinds this one in. Late arriving run hits the teammate in the chest. Second chance in. Blocked aside by Craig. Cummings had a chance on that first opportunity. I think she hit Constant, though, right in the chest.
And it's the same thing, right? DC is first to the ball. Every single one of these corner kicks, they're the first one to it. They're initiating the contact. And Haley Craig, I know it's point blank range, but she has so many DC players around her. She's gonna have to keep that ball in. She's gotta bring that into her body.
And over the top, this time Walker can't quite track it down. Fort Lauderdale have given up goals early and often in the second half. 25 total, half 2. 6 times in the opening 10 minutes of the second half. Thompson had it for a moment. That ball's given away. Abera picks it up. Abera curls over the top of Craig for a 4th consecutive matchup against Fort Lauderdale. Loza Abera torches the threads. DC ahead 2-0.
Loza Abera, just a smart heads-up play here. She recognizes that Craig is out of her box, and I tell you what causes the goal again? It's DC's defense. They're able to pick this pass off. Loza, I mean, that is a smart play, recognizing where the keeper is, and just a nice little bent ball over her. We talked about how Abera likes to play front and facing the goal, and that's exactly it. That's her style of play. That's where she's most successful. She's the Ethiopian international, most goals for that country, and you can see why.
There's a collision inside of the box and a chance with the keeper Aquino out. for Ibarra. It's her 6th of the season. Scored the last time these teams met in first half stoppage time. That was her most recent goal, and now she has scored in 4 consecutive meetings between the two clubs. More goals than anybody else all time in this fixture, with 4 goals for DC against Fort Lauderdale. She's 11 goals for DC all time. A third of those have come against Fort Lauderdale.
Just a smart heads-up play by her, and not every striker will see that like she just did. And we talked to her coach, we talked to Namazi just about how unique she is. She's a different type of forward, a different type of striker, which makes her tougher to mark.
Ball juggles here. Ibarra tries to track back, and instead she commits the foul against Moyer. A rare chance at a free kick here for Fort Lauderdale, and you have to think if there's any road back, it's moments like these that you have to convert. DC's making a change. Alexis Theoret is replacing Hannah Harney here in the 57th minute.
Fresh legs in for DC. Theoret, she creates a lot of chances. She's going to find space, so look to now see her find Walker and Ibarra up top.
Emily Thompson cycles this ball towards the back post. Late arriving run! Trickles past the keeper, but the flag is up for offside. And you see Fort Lauderdale's reaction to that. Just a delightful ball.
This ball bent in is absolutely amazing. And I think the question is whether someone tipped it or hit it on the way in, or did she get a jump at it? Yeah, you look at that from the camera angle, she was ahead of that defensive line. Unfortunate there for Fort Lauderdale. What a ball in though. Wow. I mean, the bend on that. And it was so soft and just lightly fluffy and in the clouds, and then it drops down. Unfortunate for Fort Lauderdale.
At the very least, gives Fort Lauderdale something to think about if they can continue to make a little bit of a push here. A team that has just 1 win over the last 13. Menderes. Ball is just crushed out of play by Walker. Looks like Sydney Cummings is down this time around.
Just after she releases the ball, just turf monster got her.
Let's take another look at that giveaway that started the goal. Shea Moyer with the back pass, but it's the pressure of DC that sets up Ibarra and a great chance, and she finishes the rest.
And this is it. It's that high pressure coming from DC, and they can do that. They're a player up. They're a man up. so they can send players forward. It's their defense turned into offense, but I tell you, that is an excellent and a very intelligent decision and finish by Loza Ibarra.
Just well taken by Ibarra, a team looking to win back-to-back matches and get above the playoff line, pull even with Dallas Trinity. The Gainbridge Super League playoffs are just a few weeks away, and we are tracking all the possible scenarios. You can visit GainbridgeSuperLeague.com/newsletter to get updates on your favorite team and stories from around the league delivered directly to your inbox. Locklear knocked down here. You know, 3 teams are in. Sporting Jacks, Lexington, and Carolina all in, separated by a total of 5 points, and they have 10 more than anybody else in the league right now. Will DC join the fray and punch their ticket, or will it be a surprising push from one of the teams at the bottom, including Fort Lauderdale? But they have work to do in this one. Thompson. Enough distance on this one to get inside of the 18. Three matches to go for DC after this one tonight. They host Dallas, they host Sporting Jacks, and then they go to Spokane. So if they are to get into the postseason, they're going to have to earn it.
When we talked with Coach Omid Namazi on DC, and we talked about which games do you look back on, which games do you look back and say, wow, we should have got 3 points versus 1. He said 4 to 5 of them. 4 to 5 were like an oops game where he thinks they could have played better and they could have came out with 3 points.
Fine margins coming into focus here at the end of the season, and will DC be able to get over the hump? Get into the postseason for the first time. That pass for Torbert eludes her legs, and with less than a half hour left, this is where we sit. 2-0 DC out in front. If you're just joining us, the fastest straight red card in league history. Levine picked one up in the 10th minute. The second time Fort Lauderdale has seen a straight red card in the first half of a match this year. And it took until the 39th minute for Alyssa Walker to score. Put her body right in front of the defender in a failed clearance attempt. Knocked into the net, and then Loza Ibarra off of a giveaway, scored in the 54th. Bagley sets this one up. Colton rifles it off of the defender's foot. It trickles out for a corner.
If you're Fort Lauderdale right here, you have to get up and challenge for these balls, whether it's in the air or whether it's on the ground. You have to be first to have that pride, have that team pride.
More fresh wheels coming in. It's the end of the line for Emily Thompson, who feels like she should have an assist. That great free kick that was nullified by just an offside. And Kat Gonzalez comes in here in the 64th minute. Almendarez crosses this, back post, Walker bangs it off of the left pipe. Nearly tallied a brace. Instead, it rewinds around and trickles out. And she was that close away from making this 3-0.
Will someone challenge her in the air? Because right now, any ball up there, she has been winning and she has been redirecting onto the goal. Has not scored a head goal yet this game, but she has come close tonight. I mean, we know how Alyssa Walker is. We know how she plays. She gets up, but right there, no one even jumps with her. Fort Lauderdale needs to show some pride, get up, attack that ball in the air. Be the first to it.
It's her 7th shot in the game. And all told, DC Power is cruising in that category. 17 shots to 1.
I think she's had 5 with her head.
Ball ends
1
up
goal
here.
and 1 with her foot.
Locklear is offside. Almendaris is down now.
She looks to be grimacing in some pain. What you don't want from either team is injuries this late in the season. We saw Julia Grasso head off for Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale's not out of the playoff race yet. They still have a hope, still have a chance, but you know, they started off the beginning of this game. Before that red card, I really thought they came out with a lot of energy. They had pep in their step. They looked like a new energetic team, as we see Allie Long warming up now. And then obviously that red card, it just deflates you, but they were still hanging on pretty well in that first half. And I think once DC got that goal and they had a few more chances, it just became very deflating for them. So now if you're Fort Lauderdale, it's all about that individual pride, that team pride. You've got to get up, win those balls in the air, be first to it. Peace.
Gottschalk getting ready as Almendaris back over towards the sideline. Looks like Almendaris's shift is going to end right there. Katrina Guillou is ready to roll. Get the next chance for DC. But for now, we'll play even at 10v10 for the first time in a while. Here's Torbert. It took a ricochet, and just to make sure, Haley Craig gets a hand on it to allow for a corner. And here is the change. Guillou coming in. 8 matches with the Philippines national team. Barra lofts it across. Top it goes. And around the wheel now. Gaynor. Colton. Plenty of space for Bagley. Goes right to the teeth of the defense, leaves it behind. Gaynor gets to the right foot, sends it across. Walker again goes up with the head. Abera was the target of that ball. Instead, Van Treek cycles out.
DC needs to recognize this high Fort Lauderdale defensive line. Walker needs to get wider.
Colton. Walker's cross gets knocked away. Bagley dribbles past that first defender, rolls this perfectly. Walker has it. Walker just slides it wide left.
And this is Bagley that starts this play. She's recognizing Fort Lauderdale is playing a high line. The way to beat that is to dribble through it just like she does. Once she gets by her defender, she's able to slip it through. If you notice, Walker was actually the second runner there, so that's why she was onside. Ibarra looked to be a little close whether she was offside or onside. Walker was on, she got to the ball, she got the shot off.
.20 minutes left. DC in control. Looking to put the finishing touches on their third win in this fixture. And 7 tries. Guiu. Ibarra. Guiu. Torgert was the target. It's well read by Gordon. Aquino is out. Spent all of March with the Australia national team, was on the bench during the Asian Cup, where Australia went to the final against Japan. Walker rolls it in, Torbert bobbles, Ibarra's there! Loza Ibarra bags a brace. She cannot stop scoring against Fort Lauderdale. That is now 5 all-time goals against the team from Florida. 3-0 DC soaring at home.
Loza Ibarra just figuring out how to score against Fort Lauderdale, and this is Walker that serves it in. Missed clearance by Fort Lauderdale again. Fort Lauderdale not first to the ball. DC is the one to capitalize. That right there, high scoring percentage, and Ibarra finishes.
Ibarra with another goal in this one. Now 3 goals in the last 3 matches. All 3 of those against Fort Lauderdale. The last time she had a brace. This ball goes in. Locklear bobbles. Rolls over to the left-hand side. Kat Gonzalez tracks it down. Plays it up top. Hugh. Moyer. Gonzalez arcs it in, and just having to punch at it was Aquino. But Ibarra's last brace came in May of 2025 against Dallas. She scored twice in a 3-2 victory, scored in the 55th and 95th minutes of that match. This corner kick in, and Aquino catches, had some pressure right in front. At Bellevue University, your success is the only thing that matters. That's why they offer education that's designed to help you achieve your next goal. Find out more at degrees.bellevue.edu/goals. Colton dribbles in. Colton has space. Colton connects. This ball is saved.
Oh.
The second ball puts a dent in the woodwork. Gaynor had a chance to make it 4. Theoretz. Colton. Cross comes in. Abera's looming again. Instead, it's a corner.
DC keeping this pressure on, able to dribble through, and Gainer, wow, just hits it off the post, denied.
Corner kick taken short, comes back out. It is Colton. Colton crosses. Constant was the target. Abera instead floats it, hustling after his Gainer. And instead, that ball just does trickle out in time to alleviate the pressure here from Fort Lauderdale.
DC certainly not letting up at all. They want to get 4.
Well, the highest scoring games in league history is 6. It's been done 3 different times. So not quite knocking on that door. In fact, Dallas has 2 of the 3 occasions in which a team has scored 6 goals. No DC players ever had a hat trick. Keep our eyes on Abera the rest of the way. There is Abera. Walker was the target. Had a choice there. Instead, it gets floated out.
And these goals are coming, don't forget, without Gianna Gorley. I'm excited, right? When she works back from her injury, maybe we'll be able to see her in a few weeks, and then you get her, however the formation's going to be, whatever Coach Mazzi figures out between Walker, Gorley, and Abera. But now all 3 of them know how to score, and they're all becoming scoring threats up top.
You have Gorley, 5th in the league. Walker, 7th in goals, and Abera now moves her way up into the top 10. So, like you said, when Gorley is back, they're going to have 3 of the top 10 goal scorers in this league. Here's one of them. Abera sends this ball long for Torbert. Connects. Walker juggles, chips, and Fort Lauderdale send it away. Fort Lauderdale have now been outscored 37-15 since November 12th. Prior to that, they were sitting in 2nd place on the league table. And they are struggling defensively as Locklear tries to get something on the board here. 1 versus a whole host of black kits.
And nothing else to do but knock it back to try and recycle it.
Van Treek. Gordon. Ball ricochets off of the body of Colvin, but ends up going out. Theoretz in the middle of the field here. Now begins the build. Guiu. Theoretz. See all the attacking players just waiting for their chance.
You see the high line by Fort Lauderdale.
That ball rolls to Abera, but the flag is up for offside. Let's see, we're going to get changes, 3 of them for DC, including Loza Abera. She is going to come off with a brace for the first time this season, and she did it in 2 different ways here this evening, but both starting with giveaways.
And she's just getting better and better. She's getting more fit, getting into that game shape, and you can see how much she's improving and recognizing when to shoot. I mean, this is a tough finish that she had when she chipped the goalkeeper. This was an easy one, right place, right time, but it doesn't matter. She's so smart now. She's making the correct runs, making the correct decisions, and really becoming a force up front for DC.
So DC's changes are as follows. Lexi Fraley, Jada Bedoya, and Ellie Gilbert are the trio that come in here in the 82nd minute. That trio replaces Torbert, Walker, and Abera. Conversely, for Fort Lauderdale, they bring in Jules Kegel and Danila Todd, a couple teenagers in, and they replace Smith and Van Treek. Here's Gaynor. Fraley darts inside, lays it back. Theoretz. She might have pulled that one from that distance. Instead, Fraley charges to the touchline, and that ball is out of her reach. Ball trickles down. Colton hustles to get there. Colton has an option, bends it across, but Bedoya bashes it in! Electric effort tonight from DC Power. A club record 4 goals. Jada Bedoya, the latest to join the line. Her 3rd of the season and 1st since November.
DC just doing amazing with their crosses and putting their ball across the 6-yard box, and the finishing today has been spectacular. They're setting their teammates up for high scoring chances, and tonight they're finishing them.
It was a 1-0 game at halftime. And then Abera scored in the 54th, the 72nd, and now Bedoya here in the 84th. And the margin swells to 4 goals to none. And they're not done yet. Gilbert steals this ball. Gaynor. Will there be more to this party? 3 different goal scorers. Guillou. Out wide it goes. Gaynor. Guillou. Theoretz. Gaynor can't work her way past Gordon. That ball has enough spin to stay in play. It's going to come to a rest and roll up the park. Guillou steps. Out of play. Last touched by DC. think that this is a DC team that had scored 9 goals in 11 home matches this year and had the fewest points in the league at home. That's one way to turn the tide here tonight with a 4-0 advantage and 5 minutes to go. Locklear tries to get something back, plays this up top. Ultimately, the shot just flies right into the waiting paws of the keeper Morgan Aquino from Danila Todd. Bedoya scores just a couple minutes after coming onto the field. DC sensing a chance to add to this score line.
This is what you want if you're DC. You want to put in subs and not lose the pace. Keep that high level going. That's exactly what's happening. You have a player like Bedoya subbing on and getting a goal right away.
It's 1 minute and 59 seconds. After coming onto the field, Bedoya scores officially. For DC down the stretch, this is what you're looking at. May 1st, Dallas Trinity. Then they have to come back on a Wednesday, 5 days later. Play Sporting Jacks and then go to Spokane. So 3 matches in a 9-day stretch to end the season. But as it sits, they will be in a position to control their own destiny to make the postseason. Dodging and darting. This ball comes in. Gaynor settles. Gaynor crushes. It bounces in. Colton's chance. Sees Gordon slide into the rescue in the last seconds.
DC still pressing and pushing. They've done a great job with their crosses in the box. And Haley Craig, just too many rebounds that she's given up today. And so many second chance opportunities for DC.
Bagley. Colton. Guillou. Bagley again. Guillou. Theoret in the final couple minutes of this one. Good turn here. Gilbert touches it wide. Bedoya gets taken down and a free kick on coming.
If DC decides to go towards goal with this, it's a dangerous situation.
DC have only scored once later than the point that we're at this year. That was a 95th minute goal. This connection drifts in. Ultimately, Gilbert's head as it hit the back of it and go out.
No surprise there. DC winning another head ball.
They've won everything in the air. They have won everything on the ground tonight. And the game changed in the 10th minute. Melissa Walker going against Lavinia Vaca. Vaca commits the dog soap. Last defender back. Red card, fastest straight red card in league history, just the 7th all time. Fort Lauderdale plays with 10. They've been under duress all night long. Melissa Walker scoring in the 39th minute, unconventionally after a shot was saved by Craig. Defender tried to clear it away. Instead, Walker got both legs in front, redirected it in. 1-0 at halftime. A bear off of a giveaway, scored in the 54th, then in the 72nd, and then Bedoya scored in the 83rd. And with 5 minutes of stoppage time in this one, will it get any worse for Fort Lauderdale in this one, or will DC be content with seeing this one all the way through to the finish line? Bedoya takes it off of the bounce. Slid aside for another corner. And DC have had more than their fair share of these here this evening. An opportunity to add to their numbers that have seen them get now a 9th corner and outshoot Fort Lauderdale 27-4. Alexis Theoretz. Plays it all the way out top. Straight away now it is Guillou. Guillou dribbles in. Guillou unloads, and it one hops into the chest of Craig. That is the 15th shot on target in this game.
And that was the 9th corner kick by DC.
After losing 3 straight, DC closing in on a 2nd consecutive win. And doing so with a clean sheet as well. It would be their 7th of the year. Guillou. Lays this along the sideline. That one goes right into Fraley's chest, and Gordon content with watching that one out. Bagley sends it forward. Colton darts through the middle, has numbers here, choices to pick from, lays it into the path of Bedoya. Bedoya blasts, and it just rolls wide. If that ball would have been saved by Craig, there were 2 players waiting to make it 5.
And credit Colton. She's been so good on the counterattacks today. As soon as she steals that ball, she's off. She's running forward. And you know what? Everyone with DC is up with her. That's another great ball across the box from Bedoya.
Bagley has scored in stoppage time against Fort Lauderdale in her career. And the game winner in November of 24 in the 92nd minute. Lauderdale have a couple numbers for this time, trying to end this clean sheet bid, but Todd's pass is intercepted. Moyer bounces on the second. Hugh. Flag stays down. Ball sent in, knocked away, and Gilbert gets it all the way out. Long distance shot, skims the grass and rolls back for a clean pick here by Aquino, and that's how this one ends. A club record 4 goals, and DC demolishes Fort Lauderdale 4-0 on a Wednesday night in the nation's capital.
DC came out to play today. They get the win at home. They score 4 goals. They get revenge on their 1-3 loss the last time they played Fort Lauderdale just a few weeks ago. And on top of that, they get a shutout. All around, great game by DC, and smiles from the coaching staff.
A dominant performance by DC Power. 4-0 is the final. We'll step out for a break. Interview, highlights, and a recap of tonight's match. When we come back, it's the Gainbridge Super League on Peacock. DC Power dismantles an undermanned Fort Lauderdale side. 4-0 this evening. Michael Watring, Christine Huber, and our team back with you. And in this match, 3 different players scored, and Jada Bedoya put the exclamation point on the highest scoring game in club history. Jada, thanks for the time. Walk us through what you see in that goal as Fraley finds you on that right post.
Yeah, I know in practice we were practicing on that cross in the box, that early cross. It's always on, especially versus Fort Lauderdale, and I just knew kind of to get to the back post, and thankfully my foot got on the end of it, but it was a great ball by Fraley, so I have to give her credit for that.
What adjustments did you and the team make in that second half to beat the high line?
Yeah, we knew that where the space was. We changed a little bit with our formation, as people kind of saw. So I think it helped us a lot in order to get in behind and also get those crosses off, and making sure that we were definitely using our width.
Back-to-back wins. You're back above the playoff line for the first time since September. What's it going to take for this team to finish the year in these final 3 matches strong?
Yeah, I think it's just going to come with grit, mentality. We talk a lot about that in the locker room and with our team. It's going to come down to who wants it more. The stakes are high. Every game matters. So it's definitely just going to be a team effort. And as we just did today, hoping that those results can come.
Jada, thanks so much for the time. Congrats on the win. Go enjoy this one.
Thank you so much.
That's Jada Bedoya. We'll see her goal in just a minute. But this game changed in the 10th minute. It's Alyssa Walker, who has scored nothing but game winners with DC, drawing the foul on Vaca.
Yeah, denying of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity here. It's an automatic red card. Great call by the official, but this completely deflated Fort Lauderdale.
It snapped a string of 382 consecutive minutes at home without a goal. But again, the pressure. Torbert starts it off. She puts the shot on target, and Walker's just waiting to bounce this one in.
A defense turning into offense. It's that high pressure coming from DC, knowing that they're a player up, and it's Walker that's there. She's able to finish it.
So that makes it 1-0. It took to the 39th minute to get that one, and that's how we would go into the locker room with the Spider-Man celebration. And then less than 10 minutes in, it's once again the pressure starting off this sequence. Gaynor gets in the way. Abera is there, and this is pure class from the forward.
DC able to apply that pressure. Heads up play by Abera. This takes a lot to get this chip under control to make sure it has enough time to scoop up over the goalkeeper and then come down into the goal.
Abera strikes there, as she continuously does against Fort Lauderdale. It's a 4th straight game in the fixture that she has scored. And then she would add a brace for the first time this year in the 73rd minute. It's great passing, and Abera finishing it off.
And you heard Bedoya say it. They've been working on this type of service all week long, and it paid off. These low and hard balls across the box makes it easy for Loza to finish.
Abera finishes that one off, as she now has 5 goals against the team from Florida all time. A third of her goals in Super League history. And in the 83rd, for good measure, why not add one more? It was actually Emily Colton that sets up Jada Bedoya.
Colton sets it up. Bedoya subs in less than 2 minutes. She's able to get a goal. That's what you call a super sub.
Bedoya strikes. It's her first goal of the calendar year, first one since November. 3rd overall for the year, and it's all smiles for DC and a lopsided scoreline in this one.
I mean, look at those shots. 28 shots, 15 shots on target, 63% possession. Obviously, they had the player up, but just a complete domination by DC Power tonight.
DC Power with its greatest offensive performance in club history. They were flying high this evening. Walloping the webbing all evening long. 4-0 is the final tonight. DC Power win it. They have 3 matches to go as they try to wrap up a playoff spot. For my partner tonight, Christine Huber, and our entire crew, I'm Michael Watrang signing off. Thanks so much for watching DC's 4-0 win against Fort Lauderdale. Good night, everybody.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.